So hey guys, this is Biswajit. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So this is going to be the last video of my machine learning project. This is going to be the deployment part. Like if you are not able to follow up what I'm speaking, so I have already uploaded some 2-3 videos before. You can just go and watch them. Otherwise, you won't be able to understand what I'm doing. And now I am in the last phase of the video. That is the deployment. That is a deployment program. So before moving on to the deployment part, I should say that I have deployed this on Heroku, which is actually a very easy to use deployment service. I have not deployed on GCP or Azure or AWS because I have already used up my free tier and I ended up getting some kind of bill generated. So I'm going to deploy it on Heroku. I've already deployed it on Heroku. So I'm just going to show that what are the files required for deployment and how the deployment program looks like. So first of all, I'm just gonna show you how my program looks like. Okay. So I'm gonna start from the previous part where I have. So I'm just gonna start from the last part. Okay. So this is my directory of my machine learning project. Okay, and this is the deployment program. So these are the files of my deployment. So let me group by type, and you can see these are the files that is required. I'm just giving you the overall view of how my deployment directory looks like, because when people don't show me the directory, I always get an itch in my head that why they're not showing the directory structure. So this is the directory structure of how the program looks like. So this is the proc file required for deployment. This is the IntelliJ IDEA PyCast. This too you can just ignore. This is demo. I'm gonna speak about this later. This is a Jupyter notebook file which I showcased you. I'm gonna copy the same file over here. This is the model, the best model, and these are the pipelines. Okay, and this is the static pages, contains the images and the CSS. And this is the templates folder, and I have the gitignore file, readme.md, and this is my main file, requirements file, and these two classes. Okay, so I copied these two classes from here into the deployment program because I need these two classes. Okay, and why I copied these two classes, I'm gonna say it. I have the pipelines, right? So there are two pipelines, custom attribute object, and there is something known as target pipeline. I mean custom attribute object and merge target object, right? These are my initial pre-processing tools. So there are 4 pipelines that I have used. I have copied them from here into the deployment program pipelines, right? The file names are different because these are I have already done it, deployed. And this is the model. And for example, why I need these two classes. So here I'm gonna explain why I am using these two objects and why I require these two classes. So to explain this, I need to explain another scenario. For example, the end user. Right, I'm considering the end user who is going to interact with my application. So the end user is going to give all the player details inside my program. So there is a web app, it is going to give the details inside the web app. So now the web app needs to pre-process the data, right? So the user may give null values in his data. In his or her data, he or she can give null values also. So I need to handle those null values. And there are 2 stages of processing. The initial pre-processing that I have done, which merges the match data into player data, and the second level of pre-processing, which does imputation and which does scaling. So these 2 stages of processing is there. So generally, if the user gives me a data, I need to execute this class. I need to pass the data through this class, right, to get my data pre-processed, and I'm gonna do this using this object that I have created. Yeah, this is little bit complicated, but this is what actually is happening. I'm using this object to initially pre-process the data, right? This object initially pre-process my data, pre-process my attribute, and this object is used to pre-process the target. So there is the attribute, there is the target. So pre-process the attribute using this object and pre-process the target using this object. But this object can't work alone. They need the class itself. This is what I have seen. So for that, I need to paste those two classes over here, right? So now, while the user gives me the data, I don't need to do fit and transform. I'm just gonna do dot transform. If you don't know what is fit and transform, what is transform, tell me in the comments. I'm gonna make a video on it. So now let's start the app and let's show you how it looks. And then I'm gonna show you the coding part. Let me open this in VS Code. Yep, VS Code, and my environment is ready. Okay, so let me copy this. So this is how the apps looks like. So be it Cristiano Ronaldo, be it Lionel Messi, data can predict. So this way of writing is my contribution. So I thought, why not do it in this way? Anyways, this is the carousel. It changes every time. Simple bootstrap. Okay, let me tell about what are the tools I have used for the front end part. So I have used HTML, CSS, and bootstrap for the front end part. And I have used little bit of JavaScript, but most probably I have changed that code. So now there is like only bootstrap JavaScript. And for the backend, I have used Flask to deployment for the deployment purpose, because it's extremely easy. You can simply deploy it so fast. So click to start predicting. So as you click, you enter this page. It says enter the player details or submit a file below. Yep. So enter the player details is very straightforward. You have all the attributes of the player is given over here, all of it. All of the statistical attributes is given over here. So you can change. This is a simple slider I have done using HTML. So most probably I have done this using Bootstrap. You can simply change this. GK reflex, preferred food right, medium, high, predict. So it will give you some kind of a value. So if you don't know, the maximum value is 93, 94, and the minimum value is around 33, 34, 35, around that range. I thought of giving a percentage over here, which will tell in detail how the player scored, but that was not required, and I just removed that part. So here you can see there are three things it is showing. This is the ID, not the player ID. This is simply a list ID to just show you how many entries are there. This is a player ID. Player ID is not required when I am filling the data in this fashion as I showed you, because you don't generally enter the ID. And this is the predicted value. This is what is interesting. And upload a file. Okay. So now this entering player data in this form is extremely tedious, and like this data is going to be for one single player. What if you want to give data of multiple players? And if you do like this, you're gonna stay here forever. So I've given the option to upload a file, and the file is like you should upload the file, and you should upload the proper file, and that file is going to be processed, and the data will be shown. The output, I mean the prediction will be shown. Now, how you will know that how your data looks like, right? What is the structure of your data? So if you click here for file format, you'll see you get this. This is just a sample of the data. I spoke about this sample, I think, over here. This is my deployment program. I spoke about a demo folder as per my knowledge. Yes, demo folder, right? This demo folder contains the sample.csv. So this sample is meant for this purpose only, to showcase you how the data should be given. So you can see demo samples.csv. So this sample.csv is going to help people knowing what should be the structure of the data. So there are this many particular columns, and there are, this is a particular name. The naming should be same. This is the particular column name, and these are the values it is taking. Values, like, you should more focus on the column names and the number of columns. So this is how it works. Now here while uploading a file, the player can upload a file which can contain garbage value, right? It can contain null value, garbage value. Now how I'm going to handle those values over here, because this is a deployment part. It cannot do training of all the data from first. So to handle those, I have written the pipelines. I have written those four pipelines. Those four pipelines, those two classes, those things are going to handle this kind of issues. So for example, if there is any kind of data, for example, let me upload some data, test.csv, right? If I open this, let me explain. I know you'll get confused. So upload a file. So now I'm gonna show you how to upload a file. Like, I have showed you how what the structure looks like. Now if you are okay with the structure, you can just go and browse. I already have a spare file to showcase you. If I open this using Excel, you can see how the files look like. This is the structure of the file. Well, the data here does not contain any null values, uh, but this is going to do this is going to work, no issues, because there are no null values. Even if there is null values, this is going to work simply. So for example, this is the file that I'm passing into the to my program, test.csv. Open, predict. You can see this contains the player ID, and this is the predicted value. Player ID, predicted value. So this is how this has to work. Now for example, if this file contains, I mean this file, the file that you are going to upload or the end user is going to upload, if this file contains any kind of problem, for example, let me remove this data, let me remove some chunk of the data, maybe from here, maybe from here, maybe from here, maybe from here also. If I remove this data and if I saved this, yes, save it please. Now if I remove this data, so this data is no more, right? So if I save the document, yes, okay, I need to save it again. Okay, I am saving it on desktop, test.csv. Please replace. Yes, okay. Now that file is changed. If I again open this file, open, you can see this data are not there. So they are null values. So now if I pass this data into my program, let's see if my program is able to handle or not. Predict. You can see it is still able to handle the data. Let me do a refresh. Let me do it from starting, because I don't want cookies and cache to mess up with this. Click to start predicting. Upload a file. This file. Open. Predict. See, this is working pretty well, right? So this is what I was trying to tell. So if there is any kind of null values, those pipelines I have saved, they are going to handle all of it. So this is the front end part. Now let's check the coding part. Okay, I think the video length is going too long, so I'm gonna break this coding part into another video. So hopefully you are able to understand what I'm trying to explain, what I'm trying to showcase, and if you understood, just give a like. Okay, hit the like button, and thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next video.